When you mention Beyond Good and Evil to most people, they assume you're referencing the 1886 philosophy work by Friedrich Nietzsche. Only a select fanbase today would instantly remember a 2003 adventure game by Ubisoft and Rayman creator Michel Ancel. Hidden in the shadows of its Big Brother release Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time, and cursed by its own bizarre, original premise, the game suffered the wrath of a flooded market, even with the rapidly dropping price tag. Ubisoft confessed to the financial failure of the 3-year project, but promised gamers the planned trilogy wasn't completely lost. At the second and final Ubi Days event in 2008, a 2.5-minute teaser with no title, no release date, and few clues as to what the next-gen follow-up might be about sparked the series' creative fuse a second time. But in 2 years, we haven't heard so much as a fly snort about Beyond Good and Evil 2. Despite staying cloaked during E3 2010, we hear continued reports that the project is still on track. Here's what we're wishing it'll be. The first BG&E had plenty of memorable characters, but the player only ever directly controlled Jade, a spy specializing in stealth, photography, and backflips. Her companions included the heavily armored Double H and Jade's adopted uncle, an engineer, Paige. Together, they exposed a conspiracy threatening their homeworld of Hillis in a journey from a seaside lighthouse to the far side of the moon. Having destroyed an oppressive alien race called the Doms, they rescued everyone and saved the world. But they're not in their world anymore, at least not in the trailer. With the teaser's first glimpse at a trio of planets, Ancel could be wishing to go much further than before. It doesn't appear much time has passed, leaving a wide-open, updated Hillis map a possibility, but the trailer tells us that these explorers have moved on. Where are they now? Who knows? Despite the loyalty of her devoted followers, Jade only entered each area with one in tow. The pace of the game's first half made it seem like new faces would be constantly coming and going, but only 2 sidekicks joined the resistance. The abilities they brought to combat and puzzle solving created some of the more memorable moments from the game. For this reason, we think the trio should recruit plenty of new soldiers for the sequel. Jade needs to delegate her responsibilities as well. We'd love to swing Paige's wrench and send Double H crashing through a barrier firsthand, or even split the duties in co-op. Drop-in, drop-out multiplayer was not a common practice in 2003, but nowadays, extra characters are just begging for extra controllers. The trek to the Dom's High Priest was manageable thanks to the banter between Jade and her compatriots. Judging by the company they keep, we're expecting this to continue no matter who they end up working for, or running from, in the sequel.
Thanks, Jade. I'd have ended up on a silver platter with an apple in my mouth if it wasn't for you.
Jade cartwheeled through her first mission using a staff and the occasional assisted combo from one of her brothers-in-arms. A few projectile items were offered, but they mostly served to distract guards and open doors. To the game's credit, bashing enemies managed to stay fun despite the limited amount of offensive moves with Ubisoft's trademark buttery animation. Not only could playing the separate characters open up new clobbering possibilities, but Jade herself could use some added gizmos. Combat was also reserved for enemies the game felt you needed to fight. In the sequel, we'd rather whip out a weapon when we feel like it. The staff is iconic, but dual daggers, nunchucks, maybe a katana or two could be fun. Adjusting the loadout of our teammates could also give the game legs. It was clear in the first game you were only supposed to do one thing at a time. For Beyond 2, we're ready to multitask. And as for the gameplay teaser released in 2009, don't get your hopes up. The video reeks of computer-generated wishful thinking. It's either a love letter from a very talented fan or a conceptual goal for the development team to reach for, like the infamous Killzone 2 gameplay. Whatever it is, it does look exciting, and running from attack helicopters via rooftops is kinda Jade's thing. A hefty portion of BG&E 1 was seen through the lens of Jade's camera, exposing the truth behind a series of abductions to an unbelieving populace, or snapping shots of fantastic creatures. Plenty of third-person action games have taken photography even further, like Fatal Frame, Spider-Man 2, Dead Rising, and BioShock. The refinements they introduced, such as bonuses for snapping up-close subjects and gaining combat resistance from targets that have been captured, would suit the sequel well. The first game mostly tracked animals and quest objectives, but the sky's the limit when it comes to things you can photograph for cash. The trailer opened on a vast expanse of desert terrain, with our heroes seemingly trapped in the middle. The inverted wheels on their vehicle suggested hovers just like the cars in the first game, and despite Paige's expertise in locomotion, it seems the ride is beyond his abilities to repair it. Either that, or being stuck by the side of the road is a metaphor for delayed design. The first game gave you a hovercraft for gliding on land and water, and with a little help from the pig, it became the spacefaring beluga. Through clever use of models and invisible walls, Ubisoft was able to make it appear as if you were flying freely over the world you spent the majority of the game unlocking. In this polished generation, we have no more need for smoke and mirrors in 3D. From the looks of this trailer, Ubisoft agrees, with this new dry wasteland a stark contrast to the lush paradise of Hillis. The game's gotta be bigger, and we want hover bikes, helicopters, rocket packs, and spacesuits to help us see it all. The only trailer for Beyond Good and Evil 2 was labeled 1, The Pig. This suggests a Chapter 2, 3, and maybe more, possibly highlighting different characters, as Jade is slyly concealing her retextured mug behind that orange umbrella, and Double H, or the wily pack of orphans, is nowhere to be seen. Does this moment have any relevance to the plot, or are they just teasing the fanbase while Paige has an afternoon snack? Some consider the original Beyond Good and Evil a game ahead of its era, an adventure in the right place at the wrong time. Its vibrant, dynamic environments, well-written characters, and flair for the unusual drew a lot of eyes that have been waiting for the story to continue for 7 years. In this uncertain time, we recommend passing the hours playing the first again, if you haven't already. Hopefully Ubisoft will make our wishes come true.